Buenos dias, Internet, and welcome to Ardwulf Presents. I am Ardwulf, and this is Star Trek Online, a free-to-play MMORPG from Cryptic Studios, based, of course, on Star Trek. In this video, we are going to take a quick look at the Star Trek Online character creation system, which is relatively robust. Once you log in, this is the screen you get to. Walk you through a couple of these things. You've got a couple of things down here, including your ability to monkey with the game settings. Up here you have regular play and create content. Create content is Foundry content, which is well beyond the scope of this video, but basically these are player-created missions that you can design in the mission designing Foundry system. And we'll get back to this screen. Maybe we'll do a video on that someday as well, but right now user-created content is not what we're covering. So regular character creation. We can click on one of these two buttons here to create a new Federation character or a new Klingon character. Now, as a free-to-play player, you need to reach level 24 on a Federation character before you unlock the ability to play Klingons. So, we're going to concentrate on Federation characters. Klingon characters work basically the same way, except that their content is different. And the scope of their content is different. But hopefully we'll get to that at some point as well. When you go to create a new character, you get to choose an engineering officer, a science officer, or a tactical officer. Now, these you should probably think of these as sort of tank, sort of healer, and sort of DPS classes in that order. But you're not really locked into those categories. You can end as an engineering officer. You can there's all kind of things you can do regarding the build of your ship and the build of your character and the build of your crew that have a lot more effect than whether you picked engineering or science at the beginning. So kind of pick what you think is cool as you advance through the game, so don't be particularly hung up on any of these. So I'm going to pick an engineering officer because I don't have one already. And now I can pick species. Now in the in-game cast shop there are additional species that you can get the ability to play as well, or you can pick the generic alien and more or less design them yourself. I think I would prefer this character to be an alien, just so I can show you the alien design system. You can, of course, zoom in over here with the scroll wheel, and of course, you have a bunch of traditionally relevant Star Trek races here. You have, of course, humans. You have Andorians, who are the guy with the antennas on the foreheads. You have the Bajorans, the Benzites, and the Betazoids. You have the Bolians. I'm not even sure I remember them. You have the Ferengi, who are short with giant ear things. The Pakled, who I think I also don't remember. The Rigelian, which I don't remember, but I think I recognize the visual look of the individuals. The Saurians, the Tellarites, who are those pigmen from the original series. The Trill, the Vulcans, and aliens. So we'll pick an alien character here. And we'll make them male. Why not? And you get to pick traits here. The traits that I get, unknown alien trait pool. Now normally two of these, probably two, sometimes more, sometimes less, of these traits will be set by your race. They'll be required for whatever species. But we're playing the generic alien, so we can pick all four. And you can customize these traits by clicking on this. And these give you natural abilities. So for example, the stubborn trait is a ground trait. There are ground traits and space traits. We'll get to that. But this improves resistance against hold, stuns, slows, and placate effects, and has some numerical bonuses as well. The soldier trait is a ground trait, and it increases damage and critical hit damage of your ranged weapons. Now let's try and find a space one. Warp Theorist is a space trait, which improves your warp core potential skill, which increases all power levels of your ship. And improves electroplasma systems, which improve power transfer and regeneration rates aboard your ship. So this is actually pretty valuable for a science-oriented character that might want to do lots of pushing buffs around. Efficient Captain is another space trait. Provides a bonus to warp core efficiency, improving all power levels of your ship when power is low. Astrophysicist, another space trait. So basically there's kind of two parallel and somewhat complementary parts to Star Trek Online, as we'll get to in future videos. There's the ground game and the space game. And they're really kind of completely separate, and you develop them you develop your character to pursue them in more or less separate ways. So we'll get to this in character development, but in terms of character creation, pick however many of these traits the system says that you should pick, and go to next. And at this point, you can customize your character, and you can use a bunch of these presets, and the presets are relatively well done. Boy, those are some dumb-looking ears, aren't they? These all have this same sort of bony crest. And of course you can change colors, so we can make him that color, for example. We can also go to Advanced and make a lot of additional modifications to the look of the character. Give them eyebrows or weird bony ridges. This is, for those of you familiar with Champions Online, this is relatively similar to the Champions Online character creator. I wouldn't call it identical, but it's definitely inspired by that, and there's actually quite a lot you can do with it. You do run into trouble when you're trying to create anybody that's really weirdly non-human, but that's not all that surprising, to be honest about it. You can add some little cybernetic options. You have a bunch of different available noses, as seems appropriate given that was what makes most aliens in Star Trek actually alien, is their nose. Some strangely putty-shaped stuff on it. So a lot of modifications can be made here. Gotta get rid of these eyebrows. That's just not working. So you can also customize the body. And these presets don't really give you a whole lot of flexibility, but you can, for example, make them 7'10", or make them 4'6". You can modify their standard stance, which is kind of interesting. We can modify the width and length, make them a bit tubby. Give them little short arms. We want to give them little short legs too, which of course affects their height. So we're making a little guy here. Some shoulders. Bulk the torso up a little bit. Modify the size of the feet and give it enormous boats for feet, for example. We probably don't want to do that. Anyway, I think you get the picture of the Star Trek Online character creation system. Now I can customize my outfit. Now here, again, there's some preset variants, some of which look sort of Star Trek-y, and some of which don't. I think most of these don't, actually, except for this one. But again, you can click on Advanced, and you can make a whole bunch of modifications. Include, if you want them to look as Star Trek-y as possible, you can use the Next Generation film uniforms, and of course, you can modify the colors here. So we can, for example, change this. I want this guy to be like one of these yellow guys, whatever that means in Next Generation. It meant Command in the original series. And then he's got some sort of dopey combat boots right now. You can change those to the weird slacks type pants like they had in Next Generation. You can add some belts. Now these little these are unlocked for me, and I'm not entirely sure why. I have never spent a dime in Star Trek Online in a store. But some of these additional things, once you get into the game, you can modify your uniform more, and these there'll be a ton more of these options, and many of which you'll have to pay to unlock, including like uniforms from the original Star Trek series from the 60s and that kind of thing. We can do different kinds of boots. So you will have more ability. There is a tailor in-game that you can go to and change this. And you can have multiple outfits for both yourself and your crew, all of which you can customize for just the in-game energy credit currency. And it's actually quite powerful. And but there are a bunch of options that you'll need to unlock using in-game credits, or I should say, real money credits. They're called Zen now, since Cryptic has been bought out by Perfect World. So we'll click next. Now here you can enter a name. So I will start the game as Ensign Blah, and this name does not need to be unique. So as is the case with Champions Online, even if there's another Blah in the game already, that's okay. You can also give yourself a first, middle, and last name, so you can call yourself Blah, Blah Blah, Blah. And you can change it to first, middle, last, or last, middle, first, and you can add a biography, and that's great. It sounds like it's not letting me pick Blah, actually. Oh, I need to name my ship, so I can name it the Blah Master, if I want, whatever. And I can play. So that is a brief rundown of the Champions, the Star Trek Online character creation system. You can tell that I've played quite a bit more of the one from Champions, which is a little more powerful, but a lot of that is because it gives you more of the abilities that the character creation and customization system provides in character creation rather than later on. So this one's actually pretty powerful too. It actually lets you do quite a lot. You can make some pretty unique looking characters, and I've seen some pretty unique looking characters tooling around in Starfleet Academy and such. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. In the notes below you will find a link to my website at ardwulfslair.wordpress.com, as well as links to my feeds on Twitter, Google+, and Facebook. So check me out there. Please subscribe to the channel. We have more videos on Star Trek Online coming. We have more videos on other MMOs and other video games in general coming, and we have a whole bunch of videos in the channel already, so check all those out. Hope you've enjoyed watching this one. Thank you, and I will see you next time.